Welcome to the Motivated Martial Arts Podcast. Your hosts, Jackson White and Gavin Cook, have been friends and Taekwondo training partners for over 40 years. This podcast will bring you a mixture of their life stories, martial arts, and business experiences to motivate you in life and throughout your martial arts journey. Adding in a mixture of inspiring interviews and some of the best traditional martial artists around today. So over to your hosts, the Motivated Martial Artists.
Welcome to the Motivated Martial Artists podcast with myself, Gavin Cook.
And myself, Jackson White.
Okay, and today we've got a special guest coming live from Germany. He's 3 times champion at the Battle of Atlanta. He just recently returned in 2019. He's a 4th Dan ITF Taekwondo exponent, also part of the Taekwondo International Group. So we're going to welcome him along. Hello, Jonas.
Hey, how are we doing?
Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
Fantastic. Okay then, Jonas, so we're going to kick this straight off, really. So I'm just going to pass you over to Jackson to hit you with the first question.
Hey, Jonas, good to have you live on the show with us.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, good. Just firstly, can you just give us and our listeners an insight into your early life and how you got involved into martial arts?
I grew up with 2 brothers. And back in the days, we watch as kids, we watch a lot of movies like Ninja Turtles or Power Rangers or the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, and I start to try this stuff out with my brother. And my mother tell me you have to learn it right before we get hurt. So a friend of my brother invited us to my trainer. He trains there back in the days, and he invited us to training.
Okay, and how old were you then?
Then I get in since that.
Okay, and how old were you then?
I was 5 years old.
5 years old. That's interesting because Gavin's still actually got his Power Rangers costume, which he only gets out on special occasions now.
No, I don't get one. I got action figures.
Still got my Ninja Turtle throwing style.
So obviously the class that you went to, was it a Taekwondo class?
That was a Taekwondo class, yeah. I fell in love with Taekwondo. That's the first time I walked into that class. But I don't know, it was really the Taekwondo, it was the way my trainer teaches. My trainer was Oliver Traxler, and he's still today. He's still my trainer, and the way he teaches, I loved that as a kid, and I'm still here.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I know that feeling. Gavin and I started martial arts when I was 4, and Gavin, I think you were 8, weren't you?
Correct.
So those methods, they just stick with you, and like I say, we're still here, and I'm 45 now, so nearly 45 years on.
What sort of...
you do it as a lifestyle.
Yeah. What sort of style of teaching would you say he was back in the day then, Jonas, your old instructor? Was he quite old school, or did he have sort of quite a newish style of teaching?
He was, the first time he was old school.
Okay.
It was... I was happy when I came out the first time from training and then don't have to make 40 push-ups, because every time you do, you swear or you I don't know how I can say it.
Doing moves incorrectly or something like that, possibly.
Yeah, it's things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or do you make used to stand in sitting stance for 10 minutes?
No, we always have to do 40 push-ups.
Okay.
40 push-ups. Okay, fair enough. How old were you when you received your first black belt?
My first black belt was 15 years old.
15. Okay, so you've been training quite a long time then.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So you obviously within your Taekwondo, lots of kicking, lots of hands work. I've watched you fight in many of the international competitions.
Mm-hmm.
How did you first start getting into competitions?
My first competition?
Yeah.
Oh, so I start my first competition, I think we was 6 or 7 years old. We start with school in a tournament in our school.
Okay.
And then I get to my first tournament in Germany, and with 10 I was at my first tournament at the United States, and it was getting bigger and bigger with the time. And I started the first tournament, I think was 6 or 7 years old.
Okay. Can you remember how you got on that first competition?
I lost the first times.
Okay, as we all do.
Yeah.
I lost always the first times, yeah. I need a little bit.
Okay, and how old were you when you actually started winning and started becoming successful?
I think it was with 15, 16 years old. I think, till it really getting more successful.
So
I think it take lots of time till you, And I still losing fights now. That's how the game is. One day you fight like you're the best, and the next day you can fight and go out in the first round. That's a fighting game.
It's good. As long as you're learning from every loss, then obviously you're moving forward, aren't you?
Every time you learn more from a loss than from a win.
Absolutely. So, would you say that it wasn't really until you was a black belt that you started to sort of win competitions, or started to feel that yourself that you were getting good?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. A lot of the people that we've been speaking to are, similar stories all the way through their colour bout. They're pushing, they're trying, they're working, and it's not actually until they get to black belt and start getting a little bit more experience. Because I think actually once you get to black belt, you're really just at the start of a journey, and then they start winning and start setting themselves smaller goals. So, what is your preferred type of competition? Is it a point start competition or is it continuous?
I prefer the continuous fighting competition, because for the point fighting, I'm a little bit slow for the point fighting competition. My main team is the continuous fighting.
Okay.
If you're slow, I won't want to go against someone that's fast then.
I'm fast for a continuous fighter, but too slow for point fighting. I do the point fighting as a basic for my whole training.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And when we do sparring, we do always the point fighting stuff, because it will make you much better for the continuous fighting, because you always make the first shot.
Of course. Timing and distance as well, no?
Yes, of course. That's all about.
Okay. So, in terms of your training, you mentioned you're always continuously working at point stop. What else do you do to help improve your continuous sparring training?
The most of the time, I train the basic stuff. Just normal, the side kick, the roundhouse kick, the hook kick. And if you do the basics all over again, you will get better. It's not like, they're boring, I do a side kick again and again and again. If you do it again and again, you will get this muscle memory, and you don't have to think in a fight. So it starts all with the basics.
Yeah, and do you do that on the bag
all day?
Yeah, do you do that on the bag, or do you do it in line work? How do you
The most of the time I get up in the morning and I train on a bag.
Okay.
And at the evening I catch up my training partner Thorsten, and we do some sparring. And the most of the time I training on a heavy bag.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. And do you?
Or do sprints, and if we get a big competition, I do sprints on a hill to get a little bit faster.
Obviously continuous sparring, you do need that extra level of stamina, don't you?
Yes, I stop to go out for a walk, to go jogging.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think to go, how do you call it, a walk, jog?
Jog, yeah. Jogging?
Well,
Yeah,
Gavin jogs. Real athletes run.
I think the cardio that you need, it's not from you don't get it from jogging. You become it from the training and the heavy bag, and the jogging goes too much on the knees.
Yeah.
I think it's not so good, so I stopped doing that.
But it's proven, hasn't it, in our type of sport, that it's all about short bursts of energy, isn't it? Short bursts of sprints followed by maybe a casual sprint, and then another short burst, where obviously long jogging 7-8 miles is not really a benefit to our type of sport.
It's not what you need for the 2-minute rounds.
No, of course,
exactly.
Of course.
It's just a sprint, and then you relax. You go back to your corners.
Yeah, exactly. So all short bursts, and that's how we've always trained for a number of years. So just moving on from the training.
You don't need that.
Yeah. What weight are you currently fighting at, Jonas?
What again?
What weight division do you currently fight in?
Minus 70 kilo.
So what's that?
On bigger tournaments, I go down to minus 70 kilo, the welterweight division.
Yeah.
And on some smaller tournaments, sometimes I fight in the middleweight, minus 76, but I only fight minus 76 when the weigh-in is on the day we fight. Because if I do the weight cut and have to fight at the same day, I don't have no gas anymore in the tank.
Yeah, sure. So it's a common fatigue. And how are you finding that as you're getting older? You find it more difficult to cut weight?
Again?
As you're becoming older and more mature, are you finding it harder to cut the weight?
Yes, you cannot eat so much more after a fight, so you will get much more fatter after a fight. It will be tougher to get down in weight.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep off those parties then.
A weight cut all the time before for bigger competition. I think it's 4 kgs. I think 4 days it is. And go down, hit the scale, and then I can go up and weight a little bit.
In terms of the welterweight then, Jonas, have you got any sort of feared opponents out there currently?
Oh no, every opponent is different to fight. I don't fear an opponent. The most of the time if you fear an opponent, you become, and you got it in your mind, you will not win the fight. You just step on the mat and trying to win. But I don't really think about opponents or which opponent I fight next. I just focus on myself and how I can do it better, and not which opponent is in my way now.
Okay, do you have any sort of techniques that you use to get your mindset prepared for a big fight?
Yeah, I hear a lot of music.
Okay.
And before I go to bed, I close my eyes and think about how I will fight and think about how my hand will raise up. And think about what will happen in the fight.
So using visualization techniques, really then?
Yes, a lot.
Brilliant. Okay. No, it's great to hear that, because I know certainly it's a big thing these days. I know a lot of athletes, quite well documented. You know, the brain doesn't necessarily know the difference between actually doing it to actually believing that you're doing it. Having those visualization techniques, like you said, standing on the square, having the referee hold your hand in the air and saying winner. You know, if you do that enough times, your body starts to believe that it's really happening.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so who are some of the hardest competitors you've had to spar, Jonas? Who really sticks out in your mind?
Competitors from the TAGB now. It was Tyrrell Gallooni.
Okay. Yeah, Tyrrell, we know him well.
One of my hardest opponents. I fought him five times, I think. So we fought a lot, and he was one of the hardest opponents I've ever had.
Very fast.
But it's pushed me to get better.
Sure. And what made him difficult?
What
made him difficult and hard to fight?
His kicks. His kicks and his reach. He was very tall to minus 70 kilos. I think he was 1 meter 90 centimeters. And he got great kicks, good distance feeling, and he was just a very, very good fighter, and he was hard to fight.
Okay.
Everybody knows that. Everybody who fought them knows that.
Yeah, sure. I fought him a couple of times as well. He is very difficult, even though he's light. You know, he's, like you say, his range is very, very long. Excellent kicks, great balance, endurance on his legs. So yeah, very, very difficult competitor.
But he's a very cool guy.
Yeah. And what about on the global stage outside of the TAGB? Who's some of your fierce components there? Fierce component, or who I think is a good fighter. Yeah, who do you think is a good fighter?
I think for me the best fighter now, it's a guy. I never fought him, but the best fighter now, I think it's a guy. He's called Jack Felton. He's from. He fight a lot of tournaments in the United States. I think he's one of the best fighters.
Okay, and what makes him so good?
He's very small for his weight. He fought at middleweight, but every technique, it's very. If he hits you with a side kick, you will feel it 2 months after. So it looks like he's very hard. He's very, very fast, and one of my idols. When I watch him fight, I like to watch him fight.
Okay.
Do you think you'll get to fight him?
Oh, maybe. They try it last year. At the Battle of Atlanta, but he gets injured 2 weeks before the fight. So maybe in the future we will see.
Okay, looking forward to some free tickets to that.
That'd be great. So for our listeners that don't know, can you talk us through what the Battle of Atlanta is, Jonas?
The Battle of Atlanta for me is it's the best tournament in the world. I came to the Battle of Atlanta through when I was 5 years old. My coach, Sabom Oliver, he won the Battle of Atlanta when I started with Taekwondo, and there was everywhere in the dojo there was the pictures from the Battle of Atlanta, and for me it was like I came home to my mom, and when I grow up I want to win this tournament. That's what the thing I got always in my mind, and now the Battle of Atlanta is really one of the most professional tournaments in the world. The night shows, it is hosted by the Ruth family. The Ruth family is Craig Ruth, the father, and his two sons, Toby and Tommy Ruth, and they do so much for the martial artists over there and how they do the show, and it will get professional all the time. I'll be there, and for me, it's one of the hardest tournaments. I never won the tournament there. I won my Friday night fights where they get involved me. The normal tournament at the daytime, I never won it because it's very hard. It's very tough.
Is there a mixture of styles at that competition then, Jonas? I presume it's not just Taekwondo.
The normal competitions are point fighting.
Okay, but is it a mixture of maybe like kickboxing and Taekwondo or is it always all ITF?
It's all I think in America it's all called sport karate. It came from the old Karate Kid days. If you got a school back in the days when the Karate Kid comes out, everybody want to practice karate. And if you have a Taekwondo school and they call you, do you have karate? And say no, so they don't come to your class. So yes, of course I have karate. I have Korean karate, and so everybody does karate in the U.S. States. But if somebody say he do karate, the most of the time, or a lot of people do Taekwondo.
I know a lot of the schools in America tend to do, like you said, they call it sport karate, but they have a whole mixture of different disciplines under that one banner, don't they?
Yeah, it's just called sport karate.
Yeah.
So you won your first Battle of Atlanta title in 2017?
Yes, sir.
Were you then invited back in 2018, or did you have to apply again?
No, they invited me every year now to defend my title. Okay. I won it in 2017, and then they asked me to defend my title in 2018 and also then in 2019.
2019. That's absolutely fantastic. When you get over there, do you get in? Obviously, you mentioned that you've never won the competition on the daytime. So everything that you've done thus far has always been on the evening bouts. Is it just one bout?
I come over for that one fight. Yeah, okay. It is. You become your opponent, and they do it like professional boxing fight, something like that. You come to the professional weigh-ins. They make interviews. They make a lot of publicity for the fight, and then you go out at the night show and do your thing.
Is it always sparring that's your favourite thing, Jonas, or do you ever compete in patterns?
I compete in patterns when I was a kid, but I was too nervous. I step on the mat, I get a very nervous stomach.
Okay.
So and when I try to use patterns, my hands start to shake and the patterns don't look so good anymore.
It's interesting you should say that, because I know
I stay with the sparring.
Like I say, it's interesting you should say that, because I know a lot of my students always say they would much rather spar in an event than do a pattern. You can get so nervous, can't you?
Again?
You get so nervous doing a pattern.
Yes, every time.
Yeah.
I'm not good in it on tournaments. I think my patterns are not bad, but not on tournaments.
Yeah, do you know, a lot of the top fighters, that we've interviewed on this podcast, have said exactly the same thing. Yeah, fighting they don't worry about, but get on the square for a pattern, and the nerves take over. It's interesting.
I think if you start in patterns, in breaking, in fighting, in so many categories, you not good in one main thing. If you focus on one main thing, if I focus on fighting, I only train fighting. I don't have to focus on other things.
Sure.
So you only have that one chance to win, and you go in with another mindset than other guys who start. Oh, maybe I can get a place in patterns. Oh, I lost. I have another chance in fighting, or I have another chance in breaking. I focus on only one thing, and I think it's better.
Okay.
What would you say, Jonas, has been your best achievement this far throughout your career?
The Taekwondo national titles.
Okay.
Yeah, the Battle of Atlanta titles.
Okay, so how many Taekwondo international titles do you hold currently? Or have you had?
I was world champion 2013, and I was world champion last year. Got the tag team title together, Thorsten, me, and James Reed.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was good.
That
Too cool.
that 2013 one, was that against Tyrrell in the final?
The world champion title?
Yeah, sorry, world champion one. Sorry, Jonas.
The world champ. I fought Tyrrell only one time at the world championships. I think it was 2007. I got him in the semi-final.
Yeah, way before.
After that, we fight on smaller tournaments against each other. He moved up in the weight class.
Yeah.
So I fought him only one time. The first final I won at the Taekwondo National was against the Russian guy.
Oh, okay.
We just spoke about your achievements in martial arts. What would you say your best achievements outside of martial arts are, Jonas? What sort of things do you like to do?
My best achievement outside of martial arts is that I do martial arts not as my hobby. I do it as a full-time job.
Okay.
So I do nothing else than the martial arts, and it was the best thing I have ever can do. I work full-time as a trainer for my coach, Oliver Traxler, in his martial arts school, and this was the best decision I have ever done. Because I love my job.
Gavin's a full-time instructor, and he's in the same position. He's got the luxury of training and teaching the thing that he loves most in life, apart from his wife, obviously.
Yes. To have that job, a lot of people I know, they every Sunday I hear from the people, oh, tomorrow I have to work again, and for me it's like, oh, tomorrow it's Monday, I have to go to work again. It's not like I need the extra motivation to get up out of bed. I just love my job, love my life. I love what I'm doing.
Of course, and you don't really call it work, do you? I know I don't call it work. It's a hobby and it's a lifestyle, and I think it's nothing better than doing what you enjoy every day.
Yes, of course. Yes, sir.
How do you see martial arts developing in the future then, Jonas? So just looking forward to the future. Do you sort of see any changes in the way that we maybe teach, or in the way that the industry changes? Have you got any sort of thoughts on that?
What again? Sorry.
I suppose I'm just generalising really, but I mean things like, for instance, I teach lots of children in my schools. I don't know if you teach a lot of children in your classes. I'm just wondering if you see any changes in the way the martial arts are going to be taught in the future.
Okay. I think kids don't wanna do so many competitions anymore.
Okay.
I think that will be a little bit less in the future.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's the smartphone time. I think everybody
Fortnite.
only want to be something on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, but nobody want to do something for it. And if people train, if you have adults or teenagers who's training now, the most of the people do more photos than they actually do training.
Yeah, I mean it certainly is difficult sometimes getting children to engage into sports outside of school time, because a lot of them want to come home and just sit on the Xbox or on their phones or watch YouTube.
Yeah, it's the smartphone time. I think it's a little bit sad, but it is like it is. It's hard to motivate people to do something for a tournament.
So you mentioned it briefly, what motivates you, but what really does motivate you to get up, to train, and to get prepared for a competition? What motivates you, Jonas?
I just love it. I just love that feeling when you're on the competition. I just love that feeling when you train for a mean goal. I have always a mean goal, one big goal for the year. So if you set a goal to be the TGB world champion, and you train the whole year for it, you don't go on parties, or you do so much and do so much training for it, and when you reach your goal, that feeling, it's like Christmas, birthday, Easter, and all together, and you need that feeling again. You become a little bit addicted to the feeling, I think.
Yeah, certainly. I know that. There's many a morning when I used to get up at 4 o'clock, 4:30, do my sprint training, do my weight training, go to work, come home from work, train again. People used to think I was crazy, but actually, after my 10 years and I won my world title, it was no better feeling ever.
It was all worth.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, most definitely.
And you don't do it for money. You just do it. You just do it for yourself.
Do it for love.
For that feeling.
Yeah, the love of that feeling.
And nobody really understands what you're doing there.
Very, very true.
A lot of people think I'm crazy.
Well, it's that sacrifice, isn't it? It's that deferred gratification, isn't it? You know what I mean? You're missing the party, you're missing the junk food, but you know that in a year's time or 6 months' time, you could be crowned world champion, and there's no better feeling, especially when you know you've missed out on all these other events.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, here's running up to the final questions now. What piece of advice would you give to a younger you, knowing what you know now then, Jonas?
Oh, to younger me, I think I would take a little bit more time to recovery when you're injured, or you don't have to. Then you take sometimes your break after a competition and then start again. So you don't have to win your competition, have to go back training. So first of all, you heal up your body and then go to the training again.
Yeah, of course. I mean, certainly good advice. I think it's important to make sure we preserve our bodies as martial artists, don't we? Especially if you have to make your money in the future as an instructor.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's something certainly I learned. You know, I rejoined Taekwondo quite late in my life, and training hard was great for the first couple of years. But as I started to get older, I started to appreciate actually resting was just as important, and healing was just as important than actually training. In fact, often more beneficial. Making sure that you are resting, recuperating, and healing after any sort of injuries is key.
Yes.
Okay, just final one then before we wrap up, Jonas. What's next for you in the next 12 months?
Oh, for me in the next month, I will be in Tokyo in November for the Sports Chambara World Championships. Sports Chambara, we do it as an add-on to normal training. It's like, it's a little bit similar to fencing. It's like sword fighting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we do it since 2004, I think. So we'll be there for the World Championships in Tokyo this year, the first time, and it's also good for the footwork in Taekwondo because you have to really get really fast on the feet in that style of fighting, and it's also good for the footwork in Taekwondo. So we do it this year, and I can't wait to go to Tokyo.
Do you wear full body armor for those events, Jonas?
No, just the headgear. The swords are filled with air. I can send you later a video. You can watch it. The swords are filled with air. You just got a headgear on it, and it's only who make the first point. It's not who make the most points, just who make the first point, the first deadly shot, and then it's over.
Okay, so that sounds really interesting. Yeah, I'd love to see the video.
Yeah, it's cool.
And are you coming over for the next TI World Championships?
Of course, we'll see you.
Excellent.
Great.
Of
That
course,
sounds really good. Okay then, Jonas, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much for taking time to speak to us today.
Yeah, it's been great to speak to you, Jonas.
Thank you for having me in your show.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing you over this way, like I say, for the next World Championships. It'd be good to see you back in action.
Thank you, sir.
And good luck in Tokyo.
Thank you.
Okay, Jonas, thanks
Take
very
care.
much.
I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode of the Motivated Martial Artist podcast. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page and our Facebook group, the Motivated Martial Artist podcast.
And don't forget also the Motivated Martial Artist Instagram page.
So head along for some extra content, interviews and much more.
So until next week, it's bye from Jackson
And Gavin?
the Motivated Martial Artists.